Hello. What I have to say today might be of interest more than usual. Now, over last night, I was trying to attempt to heal my sore throat, and the causes for it turned out to be pretty interesting. I've made a video about this previously. I've posted on the podcast. It just went a little more interesting. Um, Now, I've been talking about the Y chromosome not being as strong as it used to be since the late Triassic era to present, where it reduced from about 900 to 55 genes. People have been working on, say, Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao. Women protect the female species. There is reference to Mother Earth. So there's the idea of Sri Chakra also talks about the idea of mother, as in Devi. But that's like it's more a frame of reference. But we have been seeing birth rates waning across the globe. There have been also reports that deserts, dry areas. There is also reference to um, aging population, yeah, and population being less than replaceable in some countries. I found some of the causes for it. I've made a post on LinkedIn, but I will just summarize what I came to the presence of, and it's pretty disturbing. So it's not all happy news. Okay, so I facilitate health from a biodynamic perspective. Um, and over time, I came to what I call as Meristem Intelligence. Now, if you put that simply as a seed growing to from the surface, from the soil, all the way through the surface to a tree, and the intelligence that it takes for a seed to grow um, in the different environments, while there are different kinds of other trees, plants, animals, microbes there, in a way that a person, people around, and future generations are also getting better, getting healthier, wealthier, wiser. That brought me to the idea of Shri Gandha. It's like a sandalwood tree, but a sandalwood tree is also a root parasite. And then needs to cooperate, is always dependent. So human being is always dependent, right from growth in the mother's womb through to coming out. Somebody takes care of us, and then over time, according to how we then cooperate, coexist with others, is how we then grow. Tarzan grew up in the forest, cooperating with wolves. So, so there's the idea of the root parasite, dependent, coexisting, live and let live. One of the things I found for our civilizations moving from the Sumerian, from the Sumerian civilization, when civilization began to have a little downfall to the point that um, we've also been still dealing with WHO's global list of diseases, where the Sumerians is said to have more fertile lands. Um, there was more harmony. The quality of life was said to be different. And then I discovered when meat eaters came there began an imbalance. And then from there, civilizations began to start reducing, falling down in quality to we've had certain strifes, Russia, Ukraine, for example, some strifes. And we also are still working at going beyond WHO's global list of diseases. Now, I don't know if during the Sumerian time there were no diseases, but quality of life has been slightly changing. We could do better. And I've been saying meat eating has been a cause. As I researched more into the matter, no, how is this related with the Y chromosomes? Coming to it, it's all related. The meat eating, when I inquire into that further, came from people who had to resort to meat eating because there were famines, volcanic ash, fresh growth crops were not able to grow as well, so they resorted to eating meat. And places where there were crops could not continue to be vegetarian, so to speak. And meat eating has a certain animalistic behavior. Plants have a different metabolic process in our body. Animal meat metabolism goes through a different process in our body because it also involves meat. If it's more carcass, yeah, it's dying, and plants is more towards growing up. You eat something that is growing up and working towards becoming fruits and leaves and flowers, versus animal meat is more this way, dying, it's going to completely annihilate, and then the death curve. So what the food is moving towards affects how it affects the metabolic process in our body. Now, our body is also formed from earth, water, fire, air, spirit, space, just as earth. So when meat or plant are being consumed, just like what happens in earth, meat or vegetables have an effect on our body. And the metabolic processes is accordingly. Just like plants or animals, plants or meat in earth go through different processes. Now, having said that, earth may not be being seen as an alive being, but we humans are. Metabolic processes in our body affects our human behavior differently. Competition, animals, for example, have survival competition concerns. Plants are not necessarily competing the same way. They fight for kind of light is there. So nature has plants, makes the leaves arranged in such a way, Fibonacci circles and patterns, such that every leaf gets sufficient light. So their construction in such a way that they don't have to compete, while there is natural math in their make. Yeah. So how plants live, grow is different from how animals grow and become. So there's the kind of survival practices in plants and animals is different. Okay. Now, why is this important? When meat eaters came to Sumerian civilization, strife began over time. Soil fertility reduced. There was internal strife, and then the civilization then moved to the Aki civilization, and then further from there. There was a decline from there. That coldness in the thought lines brought by the meat eaters, coldness in the sense death, and it's more like rigor mortis, cold, and then moves through those processes, versus plants have a certain warmth, I suppose. Yeah. Now, excuse me, that coldness, when not digested in our human body, now it's like you have stagnant water. How our body metabolizes heat, also in the presence of the sun, is different from the cold meat, for example, which becomes part of the human metabolic processes. Even if you're not eating meat, when you're living amongst people who do eat meat, their circadian rhythms or their thought processes or emotional processes or how they interact with things affect others. We are all part of the community. The sound that a person's body makes. Now, if you look at plants, they do photosynthesis. They have a certain soundness, which is different from that of animals versus that of humans. So you could say frequency, energy, vibration. A surface has a certain way of being. Atoms, molecules move a certain way. Okay. Now, humans also function a certain way. When a person is silent, a healthy person sounds differently. For example, their heart is beating at a particular rhythm. Lungs, intestines, they're all functioning at a different rhythm, and which is healthy. So the sound, say a doctor keeps a stethoscope, they're likely to hear healthy sounds versus a person who has a disease. Now, how is this related? When there is fine sounds, harmonious sounds, what comes out of your mouth also, it's kind of like when there is a well-being, what comes out of your mouth, how you're interacting with others, is less likely to be inflammatory. Okay? Also, whether or not you're speaking, whether or not you use a stethoscope to check how healthy you are, your body is already making a sound, which is healthy or unhealthy. Yeah? And then we have prayers, we have different coping mechanisms to deal with everyday challenges. Different religions practice health maintenance in their own ways. Some people, whether it is spoken mantras, yeah, chants or beads or different practices, or unspoken, wherein they breathe particular ways. There could be, say, buteyko breathing, yeah, or it could be breathe only through certain channels, for example, through the nose along this line. Yeah, some call it the Shri Vidya, Shri Chakra. It's only along this line. Some focus on this Sahasrara, pay attention to Sahasrara, and it all gets better. Some pay attention to Muladhara. Some are all hard. Yeah, how a person practices health maintenance, and then some may be telling mantras in their mind, which then affects what are they focused on. So there may be a range of things a person could focus on, but they're only focusing on a few things. And such people may be walking amongst the crowd while their body is making a certain sound. Okay? In the sense, according to what they are thinking about. If you're constantly thinking about, say, a mantra, or you're constantly focusing on your breath, the range of sounds or the range of awareness of what you're doing is limited to a few. Yeah. So you may or may not be aware of what's happening around you because you're focused on a few things. So it's like horse with that thing. There's only a certain range that is visible or possible to be thought from. Yeah. And you function from there. What happens with dietary habits, with these personal practices, and wounds not healed? Now, there is in Yoga Shastra, they say ajirne bhojanam visham. Unhealthy metabolism, insufficient metabolism, gives rise to lifestyle diseases. When you're eating meat or you're eating vegetables, when your metabolic process is not good enough, they are also adding a toxic sound to your body. And then you may be surviving life because you're surviving the toxicity that's there. It may not be so much that you die, yeah, but you slowly die. We haven't heard about immortality in some time. There is reference to it, going beyond the cycles of birth and death. Birth and death. There are these thought lines. But what it takes to do that would also be healthy and metabolism. But let's just say at least not having diseases, not having lifestyle diseases at least, would require healthier metabolism. Yeah, otherwise you would have different kinds of sounds. Sounds are not so much healthy. Yeah. And different people have different ways of being healthy, maintaining being healthy. That is, if they are thinking about being healthy. If their idea is it's all about God, God provides, and then I would have the health I have, which means you've already given your responsibility of being healthy to God. So God takes care. So if God is busy with doing God stuff, then your health is um, God's wish because you have given the key to your life, your health to God, And then dependency syndrome. Yeah, if it's time for them to take care of you, then they take care of you. Otherwise, so God busy in God stuff and you're having a health concern. So so there's this reference to a 50-50. When you take, let's just say 100-100. Yeah, if you say 50-50, you 100%, God 100%. That way, you doing your part, God doing God part. Yeah, that way, your health is not dependent on God being busy or not. Yeah, because God may have a lot of things to take care of, and you can take care of your health. No, the point is, we also have people walking amongst us who have given their key to their life to God. Yeah. And there are people walking amongst us who actually take responsibility for their health and do stuff to maintain health. And we have birth rate concerns, aging population rate in different countries, dry lands in different places, all correlated. Why we've also had 2 years of the pandemic, how our body functions. Now, I've been thinking in terms of mythology, and over time I discovered our human body is designed to live in life in the multiverse, which means the Vedas also say humans and animals, people and animals, trees, are like Earth's body hair. Now, Earth is rotating, revolving, and our body is at the effect of the air, which is kind of like brush border. Yeah, you've seen metro trains getting cleaned by this microfiber thing. So we are like Earth's body hair. The sand, different environmental things gets affected on our body, which is why we also need to have a bath regularly to wash off the grime and dust, because we are like cleaners of Earth. Yeah. Along with that, we are also like trees, kind of. We also have a certain light within us, so to speak. Yeah. So some amount of there's this idea of the one in the sun and one in our eye is the same, which means um, there is a certain amount of photosynthesis possible. Okay, kind of. Okay, now this is all complex science, but we are like trees. We stand on 2 feet. Yeah, and when we say green heart, green organic living, yeah. So this idea of flowering of the heart, but that's basically saying Prakriti and Purusha within your body, like nature nurture, is in 50-50 relationship at least. Yeah. So there is no push pull between micro and macrocosm. Yeah, Jivatma, Paramatma, there is this fine little balance. If there's an imbalance, then there is a you're dependent on somebody else. Yeah. Or you should take care of me. So your key is already in somebody else's hands. That dis-ease, lack of ease, and how much you're standing on your own feet versus having a body, but um, you're a puppet to many other, dependent on many things, according to if they give you, then you have. Yeah. So you don't have a mind of your own, you don't have a body of your own kind. You're alive and then dependent on somebody else. Yeah. Which means an opportunistic infection like the COVID. Yeah. It's more easy to infect you and cause you disease because you don't have what it takes to then have the immunity enough to then respond and then have the resilience enough to be back in health. How is all of this related with the Y chromosome? Our body formed from the father's material, Y chromosome. Yeah. And the placenta in our mother's womb is also related with the father's material. The nurture that mom provides from the baby, fetus growing in mother's womb, is the nurture that then becomes the care within. A body, the nutrients, we're kind of like a parasite in mother's womb. Yeah. And in spite of it, mother taking care of us is how we form the human body alive enough. Yeah. in spite of being a parasite kind, yeah, which then has us become a human being because we are nurtured by care. Otherwise, we would remain like a parasite. Our ability to care is what has had us become a human body and continue to be amongst the living. So we care about one thing or the other, which is why mother has been given prominence. Okay. And sperms or the male species forms when there is lesser temperature. When the temperature is higher, there is a female body. Yeah. Which means I am thinking male metabolism may be less hot than female, which means males may be more matter and females may be more energy. I'm just thinking it through because females have been referred to as Shakti. Yeah, but I'm still thinking about it can't be just all the time like that, but I'm thinking males have a little emotional difficulties, emotionally unavailable, and those kinds of thought lines. They can just square it and then get to work, shut down their emotional stuff, and then yeah, do work, which means they may be more matter than energy. Their metabolic processes. There's also the reference to the Y chromosome having standoffish genes, male standoffish genes. Yeah, it's like masalas on the shelf top. According to there are lots of historical stories from all those years since late Triassic era to what didn't work to all of that stored in the genes. So survival of the fittest is also from there are lessons from all of history. Yeah. So there is this reference of male genes in the Y chromosome reducing from 900 to 55 because maybe humans used to be more violent. And now there is still some benefit because we have more humanity cross boundaries, United Nations, and all of that. And so we have 55 genes of the male, 55 male genes of the Y chromosomes. Yeah. Yeah. Now, to improve our birth rates and all those different challenges, we would need to warm up our males a little bit. How does that sound? So, the coldness, yeah, is like Frozen Queen or the movie Frozen talks about the females, which is necessary. Over time, I discovered that my body is also formed from my father material. Yeah, everybody who has a body that's human, the body is formed from father material. And life within is alive because of the nurture by mother, which is why life is invisible. Yeah, we have some idea of life or some vague concept called life. Yeah, and while we are dealing with matter and material and collecting stuff and museum and all of that stuff, tangible stuff, the intangible life, intangible ideas such as quality, hard problem of consciousness, intangible stuff is a little, you're having a little moment getting our head around. We can deal with quantity. Numbers, really nice. We have calculators, we have many instruments. We have even artificial intelligence to help with the quantity stuff. Yeah, generate content. But quality requires something more. Yeah. So the Y chromosome, why to be in existence? Survival of the fittest. So we have been surviving life, but don't know what it takes to live and then thrive. Survival includes, but is not limited to, comparison and competition, just like animals. When we are eating meat, we are continuing to maintain those thought processes, which is for comparison and competition. Survival continues, which means we are looking for the next opportunity to take somebody else's idea. Okay? Stealing, seven cardinal sins, people having to go to churches, don't really know what God is. Yeah, conscience, it's more a thing to deal with as long as you can get away with stuff. Yeah. So conscience, put a veil on and then do your, yeah. So all of that stuff happens. And the health of our economy has been suffering. We have diseases, wisdom challenges, wealth challenges, humanity cross boundaries. We're all on the same planet Earth. I know this message is a little loud, big, but I'm arriving at message. I don't know if I can say this in one sentence and it'll make sense. I don't know if I can say this in one sentence and make sense. I'm also learning to communicate. But having said that, the right and left sides of a body, according to Yoga Shastra, the right and left represents the male and female. Left female, right male. Y chromosome, right side. Doing the right thing may have been a concern, like literally, kind of. If you consider left and right, and a body is made from father's material. Okay? So our body may have a lot of wounds, also from genetic information, from history worth of information that is healed or not healed, information known or not known. It's just recently we got to know that light has magnetic properties which then affects our body. So the new things are getting discovered. Meanwhile, how to be healthy, wealthy, wise, we may be going by points of reference. Somebody said, say this mantra, you will be healthy. Somebody said, breathe like this, you will be healthy. Somebody said, do this is activities in a day, you will be healthy. Yeah. And our how to be healthy practices also has many religions now. Yeah. And we may or may not have given our keys to the gods, we don't know where they are. Yeah. So dependency syndrome and dealing with unknown and known concerns, known and unknown concerns. Johari window talks about 4 quadrants. I know that I know, I don't know that I know that I know, I know that I don't know. I don't know that I know, I don't know that I don't know. While such is the case, our body continues to have a left and right sides, masculine and feminine sides, and we have a difficulty doing the right thing. Our DNA is dextrorotatory, right rotatory. So our body is already conditioned to do the right thing. And then, are we doing the right thing? That determines how well we do in life. So we have some things which are already working, and then we have challenges in doing things better, such that we are having healthiest permanent health, wealth, wisdom, human body designed to live in life in the multiverse. So we are seeing dry lands, if you're having birth concerns, you're having aging population, population gone beyond certain limit in certain countries, it just means that our knowledge level is not as well as it needs to be. Okay? Some of those topics is what I'm making available. So I'm like the human resource department of a company. If you consider Earth as a company, incorporation, we are all incorporated, having a body that's human. On Earth, amongst other living organisms, plants, on animals, microbes, human resource development. So I happen to be studying about our human body and where the human body came from, what are our stories, why is the human body designed, mythology, several textbooks. I've been going through many, many things. Sometime before, this was not able to be possible because it was not time for the human resource department. It was time for the internet to form, so the internet department formed. Mass communication was important because there were people talking things which needed to be communicated to a lot of people. Buddha, for example, discovered things, sent information through paper. Over time, Earth discovered, this information is good, needs to go to many people. So over time, internet department came up. So then we could also make courses. There's message to millions, ideas worth sharing, TED Talks. So we consider Earth to be like a company, incorporation. So that became possible. Communication, all of that. And over time, health WHO's global list of diseases, looking at diseases and looking at what it would take to go beyond diseases, I happen to be born and looking at life and stuff and why are we facing, for example, divorce rates. Yeah, why are people having a challenge giving birth? They're married but don't want to have children. Yeah, or divorce rates. And I was wondering, why should I get married? So I was born with these kinds of thought lines. And over time, started to look at health, and I came to mythology and Sri Chakra, and I discovered these are all related: Shakta, Shakti, Prakriti, Purusha, nature, nurture, all of these thought lines. Human resource department. Yeah, so I'm department in Earth.inc, Life.inc, Almighty.inc. So I'm speaking from those thought lines. Yeah, lot of stuff not already heard. And I have a concern that the Y chromosome can be healthier because Y chromosome reduced from late Triassic era, 900 genes, to present 55. And there's a reason why it continues to be so, because we need to learn to go beyond violent practices. Non-violence is the new violence, so to speak. Yeah, because plants can photosynthesize and have their own ways of defense. You eat a pineapple, it'll give you spicules, pokies. Yeah, non-violence is the new violence. Yeah, and humanity cross boundaries that'll help you protect by humanity instead of immunity, pokies. Humanity better than immunity, but you also need to have the benefit of immunity. Yeah, because otherwise microbes come, you need to have resilience enough to convert microbes into life and living substance, like till the land. Yeast, bacteria used to make cake. So leaven the fabric of time space. So we have layer. We have puff pastries. We have cake. So leaven. Yeah, all nice, fluffy, nice. So we have earth, layer, air also layer. We have 7 colors of the rainbow and all of that stuff. How do you think that became possible? Other planets haven't yet figured out how to employ available resources, earth, water, fire, and spirit space to make life, and then for-profit enterprise. Because earth also formed after several cycles of evolution since the Big Bang. So we humans on earth, when we are able to maintain life sustainably, healthy, wealthy, wise, we can teach other, well, earth, water, fire, and spirit space without using much technology. It's a different kind of a technology. It's original humane intelligence, facilitation. By turning around the wounds in earth, water, fire, and spirit space, life and living in the multiverse, where microbes, instead of feeding on you, you kind of train them to live in life in the multiverse, like till the land, and make environment more life friendly rather than it being, yeah. So nice music, cake and all nice soft, cooked food. People have nice ideas. Yeah, instead of doomsday thought lines, all that becomes possible from Meristem Intelligence thought lines, MITI thought lines. So I hope this gives you a little overview on what's the challenges, what we need to do, and I'll be working more on spreading some more of these ideas across my different social media channels. So it becomes easier for us to maintain our human body resource, also across our family lines, our neighbors, our communities. Human resource management. When humans are doing well, earth, water, fire, spirit, space, microbes, plants, animals also do well. Space, nothing, everything, anything, something, they all do well. And there is a how to of it. Yeah. I call it Shri Gandha conscience, like sandalwood, root parasite. When we are doing well the right way, we are doing well, people around us who are also contributing, we are contributing, they also do well, and future generations also do well. So I call it Sri Gandha conscience. So I hope this gives you a perspective. And Best is yet to be. The best is in the making. You are in the making. Me, like each of us, when we say me, that is matter plus energy composite. When we get a matter and energy together, like male and female, Prakriti Purusha together, all nice, not push pull. Yeah, it's like namaste, all just nice, beautiful. You, why to be in existence? Oh, like wholesome eyes, or owe you? Oh, why do I owe you? It's also called runanubandhas. We have relationships like you take care, or you produce something, maybe a software or food or stationery, books, pencils. And then so there's also gratitude, neighborly. Yeah. So why to be in existence? What do I owe you? And then you, as in like a glass of water. Yeah. I live, you live, I in my container, you in your container. Yeah. And you do well, I do well too. So um, that makes for some interesting you in your well, like frog in the well, me in my well, frog in the well. And we can be coexisting and do well too. So the best is in the making. Yeah. The best is yet to be. The best is in the making. You are in the making. So I hope this gives you pause for thought. Thank you so much for your thank you so much for your kind interest. Good day. We're all in different stages of getting better. I'm getting better in my communication too. But this message needed to be communicated. I hope this brings you peace. Yeah. And, hopefully, you will contact me anytime soon so that you can also participate in what's possible in having a body that's human and how we can contribute to turning around challenges and have health, wealth, and wisdom across boundaries. Yeah. And live in life in the multiverse. Thank you so much for kind interest. Good day.